Hey everybody, it's the interview queen Alicia Atout here, and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you all to my interview with Lexia from Destroy Boys.
Oh,
Hey,
thank you so much for having me, Alicia. I appreciate it.
absolutely. I'm so pumped about this. Like, you have no idea how much I have been spinning your tunes lately. So, super psyched. Seriously, super psyched.
Oh, I'm stoked. Thank you.
How are you doing over there? How's your day been? Just fill us in a little bit.
Yeah, I've been pretty chill, just hanging out in San Francisco. It's where I live. This is my room. I've recently been like reorganizing it, like since I got back. So it was really messy today. I kind of like decluttered it. I made some calls I needed to make. I got a parking ticket today, which sucked, but
Fun.
yeah, so it's classic things. But overall not too bad. Yeah, pretty good. How are you doing?
Doing really well. I had some interviews going on today. As I mentioned, really excited for this one. Hosted my daily live stream for Nutfest, so things are going pretty well. Can't complain. But one of the things I really wanted to dive into while having you on the show is, of course, Open Mouth, Open Heart.
Yeah.
This record is filled with so many great songs, and of course, when you create an album, so much goes into it. There's so much work, literal blood, sweat, and tears sometimes.
Yeah,
So, how does
definitely.
it feel knowing that everybody can finally just hear everything? Like, how's that kind of, what's the mindset there?
Yeah. It's gonna be really interesting. Like these are some of my favorite songs that we've ever written, so I'm really, really excited for people to hear it and to like, yeah, I'm excited for that to happen.
I have
Uh
to say that I do love the title because I'm a very blunt and open person. So what does it symbolize for you, Open Mouth, Open Heart?
So the name comes from one of the songs called Secrets. It's the last song on the album, and Open Mouth, Open Heart is actually like the last lyric on the album, which is like a fun thing. But it's also so in that song, so like that's where it comes from that song. And that song, it's the lyric is fight the open mouth, fight the open heart. And so I sort of see the title as like when you write music or like when we write music, it's very open and
Mhm.
it's kind of like a sort of literal thing of like open mouth where you're like singing just kind of everything exactly as it is. Like you also kind of have an open heart, like, and when you can openly communicate about things, that allows you to have an open heart as well. Not that, I don't know, you can also have a closed mouth and have an open heart, I think, but that's sort of where like the title comes from. Yeah.
It's really interesting to hear the behind the scenes aspect, especially that last lyric tying it all in. That is kind of like a fun little Easter egg for people to dive into and
Yeah,
and to
right.
know. Yeah, it's really fun. There's a single you dropped from the record release called Locker Room Bully, my favorite one so far. It just speaks volumes to me. It's so relatable in so many different ways. I was bullied growing up. I was put through so much nonsense being young in this business, which I'm sure you've gone
Yeah,
through too.
definitely.
I had a relationship where shit was just taken out on me, and this song makes you feel so empowered and not alone. So I'd love to know the moment which sparked the idea for the track where you realized you just had enough and you really want to write about it.
I guess it was just like over the past like year, over the past like couple years, I've just been seeing people like talking shit and like really a lot of people thinking that they know what they're talking about when like they really don't. And um yeah, it's like really frustrating to have people telling you like who you are in different ways. And just being around people who like talk shit, it's always like such a reflection of them.
True.
um you know, where so that's kind of like where the inspiration of the song came from, of just people like, you know, um wanting to make judgments on other people when those same judgments can be thrown back onto them like really quick. You know, like the people, I
Very
feel like,
hypocritical human
yeah, the
beings.
people who talk the most shit like to themselves, you know,
Yes.
internally, like their internal monologue is like not somewhere that I would want to be. And it's usually like, I don't know, if someone's like, oh, like so and so is like so insecure. It's like you're just saying that you're projecting like onto the, you know, there's like in a shit talking way. I don't know. It kind of came from just like in a, you know, having also been like bullied by people in the past, or just feeling like a reject in a lot of different ways. Like that's kind of where that song came from. Yeah.
It's a fun symbolism, the song in general, because it kind of is just like a big middle finger to the people who have bothered you in the past.
Yeah, I know.
It's
Which
such a
like wasn't really like, you know, I was very careful about this song because I really didn't want it to be like a shit talking song. Like, and if you read the lyric, I know that I guess it can like come off a certain way, but it's like I feel like people who are mad like don't read the lyrics, which I poured a lot of,
100%.
time into, because it's like I'm really not saying anything mean. It
Not
kind
at
of like
all.
tone is, but more commentary on things that I think, right? Um, yeah, it's kind of about like the way that like people will play telephone like on about like the telephone nature of like the internet, and people who are too cowardly to like come to me directly about something, and all sorts of things. But yeah, it's not really like it was definitely me like processing my feelings and spitting something out. But I love it. I think that it can be applied to a lot of different situations.
So many. So
Yeah.
many. I remember listening to it the first time, and as I kind of mentioned a few of the situations, but right there, I rhymed off three. So the fact that one
Yeah.
human being be like,
Yeah.
yo, this makes me think of this, this, and this. I think and it's so cheesy, but that really is kind of the beauty of music. The fact that you had a vice in order
Mhm.
to get out all this anger. And now for someone like me just listening, I'm like, hell yeah, I relate.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny because like in my mind, I'm like, it's so specific. It's like it's like, but it's specific, but it's also not at the same time. And
Specific to you.
yeah, yeah. But then you can also just like apply, that's the cool thing about music. You can apply it all to your own, whatever you want to apply it to. Um, Yeah. And I mean, it's also sort of like the way that women like get blamed for a lot of shit, and like just for no reason. Like that doesn't, when it like doesn't make any sense.
I've been
And
there.
yeah. And I really like witches and stuff. And so I forgot where I was when I thought of like hunting witches as turned into hunting bitches, but I was like, that's so sick.
I have lightning in a bottle here, baby.
Yeah, I was like, I was like, I don't know where that came from, but I was so stoked on it. And I
Yeah.
was like, I have to make this into something. It's so cool.
I can't even imagine the excitement when you know that you just have something so good and you're about to
Yeah.
put it into a song. And I think that's why these tracks are so cool, because there's just genuine attitude on them. There's that real punk rock ethos that just shines through, and it's super badass. So I'd
Yeah.
love to know what originally actually got you into that punk scene. Do you kind of remember a standout band or a moment even?
Yeah. So, well, a couple things. Like, I remember when I was 14, my brother took me to my first like real concerts that were a Real Big Fish and Less Than Jake, like the ska band.
Nice. Oh yeah.
And I crowd surfed. He got a guy to like pick me up and like so I could crowd surf. And then I saw Streetlight Manifesto at the Regis Ballroom in San Francisco. And so that was like a turning point for me, being like, wow, like music is so cool. Live music is so cool. I can't even believe that this is real. And then I I was like hanging out at the river, like maybe a year or two later with some friends. And then we walked over to this punk venue called The Colony in Sacramento. And I was it's just like, it's a room, and there's like graffiti on the walls. And I don't even think that there was a stage in there at this time, but
Jeez.
we saw a show. We saw this band Death Rogan, and it was the first time that it was my first like smaller punk show, I'm pretty sure. And I was just like, this is real. I was like, this is like the
Give me
movie is
more.
real. Yeah. I was like, people like, dude, this punk stuff is alive and real. And I don't know, I just kind of couldn't get over that. Um, and so that was kind of a turning point for me, getting into punk music. And then when I met Vi was into punk, so we started going to a lot of shows together. Um, and yeah, I just remember, making patches for my jacket, and my mom was like, it smells like beer and it's all gross. And I was like, it's not me. It's like people sweating on me.
Even better, Mom.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not. Yeah. And so I think those are just being exposed to punk is what got me into punk, being like just so
Super
I just
organic.
love moshing. I loved like running and being in a pit and like getting beat up and throwing people in it. Like I like the camaraderie and the community of the punk scene too. Um and it's something that's just that I've carried with me since then. In different wherever I am, I can find, there's a show that I can go to. Yeah. Does
I'm
that
really
answer the
happy.
question? Yeah.
You did. You did. We had a couple stories, a couple
Okay, yeah.
winding roads, and we totally got there. And I'm happy that we did have those because we definitely talked about concerts there. And everyone's missing concerts so much right now. And the band recently actually had a taste of what it's like to be back out on the road. And it was so cool just seeing you back in action doing what you love. And of course, being there with the fans. And don't get me wrong, fans can be amazing, but I've seen some wild things at gigs. So, what's one of the most bizarre or funny things you have seen at a show?
In Reno, there are these kids. I remember we played, and first of all, like people will just climb up on the roof of it and just like hang from the ceiling, which is crazy in and of itself. And
Right.
then I think some other people at that same venue were wearing like floaties and like funny swimming pool gear. And apparently they do a thing where back that they would dress up and do that at shows. Which I really appreciated. I
It's
really liked
fun.
it. Yeah.
Good
Uh,
times.
yeah. There was I missed my senior prom for a show in Reno, and which was fine. And there was a kid there like in a suit, and he was wearing a Gucci belt, and I was wearing like a nice dress. So I was like, let's take a picture, like we're at prom
It's like
right
your
now.
prom night.
Yeah.
That's adorable.
Yeah. So those are, let me think if there's anything crazier. Just I don't even think I've really crowd surfed very much at my own shows. Maybe once.
That's something you want to do more of?
Yeah, because it's sick. And then and like I feel like if I'm performing, they'll carry me for a long time too.
Oh yeah.
And like I would like to do that. Yeah. I think that's probably the most, yeah, our shows are pretty chill. Like people get crazy in the pit, but I'm trying to think if there's anything more wild. I feel like the floaties, that was pretty funny. That was
Yeah, I would
yeah.
imagine just seeing these like orange things literally floating through the
Yeah,
crowd, just thinking what is going
Oh no,
on.
like they were wearing they were wearing them, like the
Right.
little yeah. And they're just
I don't
like
know why I envision them being orange, but I just imagine like guys dancing with their arms out of the
yeah. Yeah.
Well, I have to mention that you've had some really cool support over time. Everybody from Laura Jane Grace, Kathleen Hanna, Billy Joe Armstrong, like some amazing names in music. So the last thing I want to ask you about today is who's the one artist where you'd absolutely freak out if you found out that they were a fan of your music?
Damn. I think like the first, oh, okay. I have a couple. Okay. The first one is Lady Gaga. I would die if Lady Gaga like Destroy Boys. Like I don't know what I would do. Because I used to sing her songs all the time, and I just like love her.
Yeah.
And I've been listening to a lot of like Amyl and the Sniffers and the band like Wax. And if they either of them like Destroy Boys, I would really like that because we're kind of the same in the same scene, like even though they're in Australia. I would be like really like, oh, if they listen to us. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anyone. Yeah, Lady Gaga is definitely the bigger one. Or yeah.
I can literally see your brain just like going off the walls right now. So many great people.
Yeah, so many people. Honestly, I don't know. There's a lot of people. It could be almost anyone. I'd be like, you like my band? Anytime anyone likes Destroy, I'm like, oh my god, thank you. Like that's sick.
I love how down to earth and humble it is, because some people could get that at this point, just be like, all right, another one to the list,
No, I think it's so like, I'm so honored that people
It's
resonate with our
heartwarming.
music. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, Alexia, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time and coming on here. As I said before, I love you all. So thank you so much for taking the
For
time.
having us.
Of
Thank
course.
you.
To everyone watching, this has been Alexia from Destroy a Boys. Be sure to check out aliciatout.com for more exclusive interviews and features. And we will see you all next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.